What's up? What's up? Glad to see y'all back in the house again. Feel like it's been a minute. Normally start a little earlier than now, but I have business to attend to do your thing. Oh my gosh, man, that was terrible. It was terrible. What's good, Mr. Tall? Well, the Los Angeles Laker fans, they're in shambles. And these are not the Los Angeles Lakers fans. Let me reframe that. The LeBron James train. All of these fans who is okay with this loser behavior, right? They want to say, and they want to run with this false narrative too. Well, here's what they sent me to. I'm going to show it to y'all. So everybody out here can know what time it is. I want y'all to see what these people are actually implying. I want y'all to see what they're implying. Here's that they're implying. This is their out clause. Teams after LeBron leaves. The Cavs missed the playoffs in 2011 soon as Bron left. In 2015, Miami missed the playoffs after Bron left. Cavs missed the playoffs the very next year after LeBron left. Luka and Austin Reeves. So this is the narrative you want to switch to now. Teams after LeBron leaves. This is what you want to hang your hat on. The Cleveland Cavaliers, ladies and gentlemen, let's start there. Because, it must be said. He said LeBron makes an impact. Yes, he does. He impacts the market that messes all y'all up. That's the impact on the market. He puts your team in the luxury tax. You paying for him to have success. So you're not making a lot of money. You're getting a lot of attention and getting a lot of noise. You're making some money on merchandise, but you're paying it all back in luxury tax. So the owner in Cleveland was under extortion just to give LeBron what he wanted after he left the first time around. So let's talk about what happened in 2011 after LeBron left. James did not tell Cleveland he was going to leave. Let's go to that 2011 because that's what they wanted to signal right there. Okay, so what happened in 2011 is Byron Scott took over. And once Byron Scott came to take over, Mike Brown was gone. The whole team was starting all over again. And they lost LeBron, and they were like, oh, man, Miami felt so bad. Like, damn, LeBron didn't even tell y'all he was leaving? Damn, that's messed up. That's bad. You know what we'll do? We're going to do a sign and trade with y'all just so y'all won't look so bad because y'all already finna be in shambles, losing LeBron and didn't get nothing for it. We're going to be gracious. Pat Riley made sure Cleveland got something. And Danny Ferry was furious. And because of this happening, the president had to fire Danny Ferry. So Danny Ferry was gone. They brought in, I believe, Chris after that. Chris was running the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was the general manager. And he brought in Byron Scott, like they had B. Scott and everybody else in there. And they didn't think LeBron was going to leave. And once that happened, Ferry gone, whatever, Chris came in. And they started to build a team up. So the team who had all of these players that had to leave when LeBron left, they weren't the same team. All those guys was on expiring contracts. See, what y'all don't understand is LeBron screws up a team. He brings all of these ancillary players in to fit him. And then he leaves them. And then you're left with all these spare fucking parts LeBron brought on a team. Right? Mo Williams and all these guys that y'all thought were outstanding playing with LeBron. So now this guy is screwing your team up. You got him stuck on the team. It's going to take 2-3 years to get that out of the way. But your team is going to rise back up because you're going to use the draft to do it. They get Kyrie Irving. They start building the team around him. Kyrie's an all-star. The team is on an uptick to go further. LeBron's watching that. Now he's ready to come back. So 4 years later, Cleveland is on the incline going up. LeBron comes over back to Cleveland with 15 other players. Keep Kyrie. They only kept 4 players that was on the roster from last year. LeBron came in, and they brought in like 15 other dudes, man. They were replacing guys in and out. So they act like LeBron just showed up to the Cavs and then they went to the NBA Finals. No. They went and built LeBron came in with a whole team. So when they bring this false narrative up, it's trying to make it look like without LeBron, it don't work and you don't go anywhere. Cleveland didn't do anything when LeBron left in 2011. They went to they kept going to the Eastern Conference Finals and losing and spending all this money with LeBron. They got to a finals one time. That was it. And then they kept getting eliminated by Boston, second round exit. He just quit. Typical LeBron, he quit, got with some superstars, went to Miami, and we all know the rest, right? So they're talking about what happened in 2015. Like, why did they make it in 2015? Right? Because that's the next one. We're going to get back to all the rest of it, and you're going to see the difference. In 2015, Bosch had a medical emergency, right? He was selected to his 10th All-Star appearance. He won the skill challenge, and then he was diagnosed with embolism. Then he tried to come back for the rest of the 2015-2016 season. So Chris Bosh was out in 2015. So what you talking about? Y'all just be saying things because you look at what the team do. You see the name Miami Heat. This is what kills me about these stat people. And that's what mostly LeBron people are, stat people. And stats don't tell you about the game. It just gives you a short version. It's like Cleveland notes. Okay. Cleveland notes give you some points that happened, but they don't tell you, you don't know how it happened. It's not the same as reading the whole book. Or the clef notes, whatever you want to call it. Right. So Bosch was out. So that's why they didn't make it in 2015. But we're going to come back to address every point that was put in this statement. That was horrifying to even see. So now he comes back to the Cavs. So in 2019, the Cavs missed the playoffs. Oh, did they? I wonder what happened after LeBron went to the Lakers. The Cavs start dismantling all of these massive contracts they had. They had J.R. Spliff for 2 years. LeBron got him signed to a major deal. They had $70 million for Tristan Kardashian. $70 million for Tristan Kardashian. What are we doing in America when we're paying Tristan Kardashian $200 million? I mean, 70 more million dollars. 70 million for him? No. So there was nothing for him to earn. So they had bad contracts. They sent JR home and just said, look, we're going to eat this contract. So they got to get through the BS and all the damage and corruption of LeBron and what he left there. Griff just quit. That's how bad that was. He won a championship in 2016. He's like, that was the worst year of my life. All this dude just crying and whining. They had to lose Kyrie Irving because of this man. And now look. But put a pin in all three of those because we're going to take it even further. So now they wonder about what Luka and Austin Reeves going to do. Well, see, there's a major difference from those teams to now. Luka and the Los Angeles Lakers, they're not cap strapped. They got all the pieces they need, and LeBron wasn't the superstar of the team. He was the popular old guy. Okay, Luka is the star of the league. Okay, he's going to be MVP. Austin Reeves is the number 2. You was going to be the spare tire in the trunk. So you thinking you're going somewhere meant something, they wanted you out. So when y'all trying to wave that in my face, LeBron fans, you're making yourself look stupid. I don't have to yell. I don't have to yell. I just tell it like it is because the fact stands for himself. They said LeBron is the reason for the Cavs being anything, right? Okay, let's go to work here, people. Let's go to work. We're gonna address the Cleveland Cavaliers one first in 2011. Let's blow this up so everybody can see their stupidity. Now, let me show you this. Boom. Now, this is the Cleveland Cavalier franchise value. They said LeBron is the reason, right? Okay, let's put that theory to test. Okay, LeBron in 2011, when he left, the team was worth 355, right? They went from 476 to 355 because LeBron left. So those 2 years, they went to 329. Then LeBron's not there in 2013. They shot up to 434. I wonder why. They got Kyrie Irving. The team is turning around. 2014, they're up to 515. Now LeBron joins the team. It goes up to 915, right? He's there for 4 years. It goes up to 1.1 billion, 1.2. It's at 1.3 billion. LeBron leaves. In 2018, he's gone. So LeBron's leaving. It's at 1.3 billion. The team goes down in value to 1.2. The very next year in 2020, it jumps to 1.5. Whoa. I thought they needed LeBron. What happened, folks? They started getting rid of bad contracts and started using the draft. You draft Garland, you draft Mobley, and you started to build your team. Building it from the draft. Then you get veteran players. You know what's happening now? Things are starting to look up. Let's look at this now. 2021, 1.6. No LeBron there. 2 billion. Why is it going up? LeBron ain't there. Shouldn't it be going down? There's no LeBron. Why is it going up when there's no LeBron in Cleveland? Now, let's take it further. It goes all the way up to 3.3 in 2023 when they do the new deal. And in 2024, it went up to 3.9 and then 4.8 billion in 2025. Now LeBron talking about he can come back. They built that without you. When you left, they were at 1.3. They at 4.8 without you. They've been to an Eastern Conference Finals. They've been in the playoffs. You were getting eliminated in the first round. Now, so that defeats that lying purpose that means nothing. Cleveland didn't need him, buddy. They were better off without him. You didn't have any stress, and the team was making the money. So all you can see now is the realities versus their fantasy and what they want to happen. Now, the Miami Heat, we already know what went on with them, right? But let's go to the chart. Oh, no. I don't want that. Oh, that one goes up to 2022. No, I want one more recent. I need one more recent for the Heat. Okay, hold on. So the Heat is going crazy. I got to go to the Forbes for them. They had like 6 billion. Jeez. All right, hold on. Yeah, they got some type of advertisement crap on there. Hold on. I'm coming. There it is. Let me take myself off the screen. Well, I think you can see it. I'm gonna just blow it up some. Now, look at the Miami Heat. Let's go take it all the way back. When did LeBron leave? 2015 or whatever he did. Oh, this only go back to 2016. All right, it only go to 2016. But LeBron was gone to Cleveland for 2 years then. Right? They had 1.4. So in 2016, they had 1.4 billion. 2017, 1.7, 1.8, 2 billion. They going up. 2.3 billion. They done been to 2 NBA finals, 3 billion in 2022, 3.9 billion in 2023, 4.3 billion in 2024, 2025, 5.7 billion. They don't need LeBron James. The value is going up. And this is just going back from 2016. Look at it. Follow the line. Where do they need LeBron at? They don't need LeBron James. It's all a facade, people. It's all a facade. They don't need LeBron. They've been lying to you. That's the part that gets me the worst and get me like, wow, really? LeBron? Y'all really like that dude that much? Every time LeBron left, look what happened. Every time he left, it meant nothing. Especially the second time he left the Cavs. They were only down a little bit the first year. The next year, they took off like a rocket. So you had no effect on Cleveland when you went to the Lakers. None. Not like in 2011, where it took them 2-3 years to get themselves back. They had to get out of them contracts. They had to get rid of them players, but they were back. They were good. They were pretty upset the way you left the first time because they had no idea you were going to leave. And you gave them no impression that you were leaving. And the Lakers, oh my God. Here it is, LeBron fans. Let's talk about that for a moment because y'all are kind of delusional over there too. Let's talk about this for a moment. LeBron fans. What happened? What happened? See, your problem is you thought you're bigger than the Los Angeles Lakers. That's what y'all problem was. Your problem is y'all thought y'all were bigger than the Los Angeles Lakers. Here's the news flash. You will never be bigger than the Lakers. Never. Do you want to know why you will never be bigger than the Lakers? Because the Los Angeles Lakers are a dynasty. They got 16, 17 championships coming through the door. They care about winning. You're not about winning. You're about individuality awards. Look how many points LeBron scored on a Tuesday. Only Michael Jordan and Larry Bird have scored more points on a Tuesday. And LeBron just passed them up. They don't care about that. They like, look, when are we winning a chip? That's what they care about. Chip. Are we winning a chip? Well, we going to compete real hard this year. Are we winning a chip? Well, we're going to give it a good go because we're trying to build up. Are we winning a chip? That's what it's about. Now, when Luka get there, well, Luka going to have to do something. He going to have to win a championship. No shit, Sherlock. That's what they paid him for. It don't change because it's Luka. That's the goal. Win a championship. That's what you playing the game for. They ain't going to create some tournament just so I can dance and celebrate. Yeah, I'm an in-season champion. Oh, what? Man, get the hell out of here. Nobody honor that. Yeah, that's right. Hit the like button up. Hit that hype the video button. You know how they coming. Well, the guy that wants to buy the Vegas team wants to name the Vegas team the Las Vegas Jacks. Jacks. I'll be like, okay, we got the Kings versus the Jacks. Hell, might as well call them the Queens. The Jacks, the Las Vegas Jacks. They got one team wants to be called the Sasquatch. I mean, Sasquatch. Then they got the New Mexico team. They'll be like, look, dog, we going to a Jacks game. You mean the restaurant Jacks? No, it's an NBA team called the Jacks. Who wants to play? It's a dumb sounding name. I would not be rocking a Jacks jersey. And I'm like, dude, good luck. Good luck, Adam Silver Slipper, selling a Jacks jersey. Yeah, we're the Jacks. I mean, you gonna do some jumping jacks? What the hell? I swear to God, he wants to name the team the Jacks. Las Vegas Jacks. If he win the bid, that's what he wants the name to be, the Jacks. And I'm like, that seems like something Adam Silver be right with, Silver Slipper. The Jacks. Wow. Like, you remember you used to play Jacks? Oh, you mean like the card game, like King, Queen, Jack? Why not the Aces? The Aces is a nice name. Oh, the Aces. Oh, we already have a team in WNBA, the Aces. Oh, yeah, we can't use that. So, yeah. Well, we can't call our players the Queens. So, yeah, Jacks. That's perfect. Because we have the Kings in Sacramento. It'd be the Kings versus the Jacks. Wow. Well, they can't use the Aces. That's the WNBA team. Never ate at Jack's. You never had Jack in the Crack? Got to get that Jack in the Crack. He said, I saw a vending machine in a gas station selling a pair of LeBron. Spades is a better name. No, that's not. The Las Vegas Spade. That's not gonna go over well. You talking about causing some fights? Mm-mm-mm. So they got it all wrong because everybody seems to be following this horrible, horrible commissioner who gave a whole update on the he gave a whole update on what supposedly is happening between they gave a whole thing like this is what's happening with the team and this is what's happening with the direction of the Kawhi Leonard investigation. Well, this is not us. This is not the NBA. It's a whole group that the NBA paid to do the investigation. They're handling it. I said, this has got to be the dumbest commissioner ever. He should be fired already. You think Adam Silver ran? You think that the FBI, nobody. It was the worst press conference I've ever heard.
Adam? Thank you, Tim.
Oh my God, this guy is such a moron. I just don't know how we got stuck with the weakest commissioner in the history of professional sports. I mean, you thought Paul Tagliabue didn't do anything. This guy, or Bud Selig, you thought he was a disaster. This guy's gonna go down in history as the worst commissioner in the history of sports.
Adam? Thank you, Tim. I appreciate all of your.
Bow down to Donald Trump. Everything just spineless. Absolutely spineless. Y'all want to listen to this one? Let's listen to the commissioner. This is the commissioner of the NBA.
Adam? Thank you, Tim. I appreciate all of your being here today. First of all, congratulations to Warren Ligari, Albert Hall, and you as well on another incredibly successful summer league. We're going to set all-time attendance records this year, all-time merchandise records, all-time social media records. They keep adding new events, film festivals. They have a medical program here. This is great when people just yell things out from the audience. Hold on, let me just. But they have a program, a student program that I spoke at the other day. Wannabe GMs, salespeople who are training to come into the league, marketing people. I mean, it's there's something called baseball's winter meetings that I've never been to, but this is our equivalent of basketball summer meetings. But
this is so goofy. He did not mention anything about the goddamn game. You hear that? He's starting right off not even talking about the game. He's talking about marketing. All this stuff. Well, the merchandise, this is doing well. Oh, that's doing well. Yeah, we're rolling. We got a new fruit stand. We get your fruit salad. We care about the game, Adam Silver Slipper, the one you keep messing up. Quit going to take stuff from everywhere. Oh, I saw this. You know how they have in soccer, they have that, that tournament. We need to take that. Yeah. Yeah, sounds like fun, right? have a tournament, before you get to the championship. It's not going to take away from the championship, but other teams got something to play for. Yeah. And then we add up the points. Like that matters. And the way we do in like they do in soccer, they add up the points. So the scores and the goals matter. I said, we can do that too. And the way college basketball has a tournament for the last seed, we should do that for at least the last 2 seeds. To make it worse, we'll involve everybody from 7 on down. Yeah. So somebody who's 10 can make the playoffs. It's unbelievable. It's fun, right? Yeah. Adam Silver Slipper.
As I've said over the years, I'm sure I'll be asked about a potential expansion franchise in Las Vegas, but I'm fond of saying we already have a franchise here, and it's the Summer League. It's in essence operated as our 31st team now for 22 years. So it's quite remarkable. I think back in the day when other leagues weren't doing business with Las Vegas, we were here with our Summer League. So again, to Warren and Albert, just an amazing accomplishment over the years. We had our board of governors meetings here as well. It was multiple meetings, our competition committee meeting, our team presidents. We use this, I said, as the equivalent of baseball winter meetings. We truly have all our different constituent groups here taking advantage of the fact that all the action around basketball is here in Las Vegas in the summer. Very productive meetings. I attended many of them. Most recently, our board meeting. By the way, we put out an announcement just a few minutes ago that Mickey Arison has been elected the next chairman of our board, succeeding Larry Tannenbaum of the Toronto Raptors, who's been the chairman for the last 9 years. Larry will remain chairman until our September board meeting, but I want to thank him again for his incredible service to the league. As we all said at the meeting today, there'll be an opportunity later to celebrate his tenure, but also look forward to working more closely with Mickey Arison, who I've known since my earliest days in the league, as well as his son Nick, who of course is integral to the operation of the Miami Heat. And with that, Tim, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. We'll start in the 4th row, 3 in. Tim, from the right.
Tim Reynolds with you.
Why you wouldn't let me in there, Adam Silver? You know what question I'm going to ask you, Silver Slipper. Weakest commissioner ever. Not once is he talking about the game. First, you didn't create anything. The Summer League was created basically to stop the CBA. You wanted to stop all of the sponsorships Isaiah Thomas had and was taking to the CBA. That's what you do. The NBA did the same thing to the ABA. They bought it. They bought out the ABA and took the other teams and shut the other teams down. They sent Dave the Butcher over there to be the commissioner, and he ended up torpedoing the entire franchise so the NBA could cut him a check. The NBA decided they were going to spend money to compete, to go up against Isaiah Thomas and the Summer League. They were going to compete with the CBA, and they knew the CBA couldn't compete with them. They would spend money just to get that advertising dollars. So they had to shut down. And Isaiah, for them $10 million, he bought the whole league for $10 million. Then you could buy the entire league for $10 million. That's a hit. So they gave him a $10 million coaching job with Indiana to make it up to him. But Isaiah Thomas had sponsorships with Toyota and other corporations. So when he left, they were like, man, they're taking Toyota from us. They're taking all of these sponsorships away. The NBA wanted those sponsorships. So they spent the money to get it.
AP, hi Adam.
Hey, Tim.
Welcome to the winter meetings where it's 100,000 degrees outside. Europe is October 27 is 15 months away. I know you're closing in. Is there any substantive update? Are things where you want them to be? Are you comfortable with where that stands at this point?
Well, thanks, Tim. In terms of NBA Europe, yes, things are where I hope they would be. Mark Tatum is here, who's overseeing the process. We've had tremendous interest from multiple cities in Europe, including cities that we didn't even ask for bids from. And we discussed with our board today that we're in the process of finalizing those bids, I think, for an initial group of cities. Many of the people involved in those bids, the European bidders, are actually going to be in New York for the World Cup final on Sunday. So Mark and I are going to be attending several meetings with them, given their presence in New York. And I'd say we're hoping to wrap up some of those deals over the next several weeks, and then announcements will be forthcoming. But I'm very pleased with the interest across the board throughout Europe in basketball.
Right behind Tim, Vinny.
Hey, I'm Vince Gould, ESPN.
Hey, Vinny.
David Kelly the other day spoke about the second apron and the punitive effects, that it functions as a hard cap and that it's something that you guys should collectively bargain and look at. When you look at the effects of it and you see that a team can draft well and draft potential max players but have to trade them, does that make you want to change something about that because it's an unintended consequence and fans lose out on continuity of players that they've watched grow? Or is that just baked into the CBA that you've been a part of for the past 15 or 20 years?
So, Vinny, it's certainly not an unintended consequence. I mean, when you have a salary system in place as we do, every general manager is going to need to make mixed basketball and business decisions. Frankly, they make them regardless of whether you have a cap. You see that in other sports. People manage to budgets, and people recognize that you can't, at some point, you can't have unlimited resources, whether it's for a team or any business. In the case of a league, it's in essence zero sum. So to the extent that one player doesn't re-sign a player or chooses to trade a player, of course that player goes to another team. And so the purpose of the system is ultimately to create competition throughout the league. And from that standpoint, I think the system's working incredibly well. The goal isn't necessarily to have a different champion every year, but we've had 8 different champions over the last 8 years. And I've said, as I've said previously, one of the things we were hoping to accomplish in this latest collective bargaining agreement was to dispel this notion that only certain markets were in a position to truly compete. And we just saw a finals between essentially the largest market in the league in New York and one of the smallest markets in San Antonio. And I mean, you all can tell me in terms of the media, but it seemed that there was not much of a storyline around market size, something I've been used to in all my years in the league. And during the competition, it was focused on the composition of the teams, the particular players, the style of play. But to me, the storyline wasn't big market versus small market. And so that's one of the things that we set out to accomplish with the system. And from that standpoint, it's working. I mean, in terms of collective bargaining, and for David Kelly, of course, at the point we sit down to negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement, it's their right, the players' right to raise any issues they want. And I'm sure there'll be issues from our side of the table that we want to discuss as well. And, you know, the problem is when you look at any issue in the abstract, an issue that the players want or an issue that the teams want. That every collective bargaining agreement is a result of a series of compromises. And that's what this one is as well. But certainly from my standpoint, from a competitive standpoint, the system's working very well.
What system is that? The system of screwing everybody over? The system of forcing an inept team like the New York Knicks and drive them all the way to the NBA Finals? You might as well just told them to get it all in the car and just drove the damn bus to the NBA Finals. Nobody wanted to see that. Nobody asked for that. And to sit here and have to endure that was the most painful thing anyone should ever have to endure and watch. I'm disgusted because Adam Silver Slipper is a guy who's once again not talking about the game. We heard nothing about the game, all this stuff and activity around the game.
Third row from the right, 3 in, Sean.
Sean Heiken, Rose Garden Report. Adam, back in March, around the time that the Trailblazers sale closed, you were in Portland to visit with local government officials. And then a little bit after that, at the meeting in New York, you talked to us about how you liked the plan that they had for the renovations to the Moda Center. As far as you know, is where are things at in that? Where's the process? And then also, is it the league's position that if that funding does get passed by the city council, then that is going to be enough to ensure that Tom Dundon signs a long-term lease and the possibility of the team moving is taken off the table?
I spent time with Tom and his partners here in Las Vegas, and what we are most focused on right now, the league office, is the deal that we discussed when we were in Portland in March. I was hoping more progress would have been made by now on that agreement, and it seems to have gone off track in various ways. And so I have a colleague, Joe Masco, who's day-to-day on it, but we're working with both sides to ensure that the Trailblazers can have a long-term future in Portland. But there are several open issues that still need to be resolved.
All right, second row on your left, on the very end.
Hi, Adam. Alex Eshelman with ABC Las Vegas. What kind of confidence does it give you in seeing the number of ownership groups and arena plans that have come out of the woodwork to bring a team here to Las Vegas?
It gives me a lot of confidence to see, one, firsthand, the amount of interest in the game in Las Vegas. This began, as I said earlier, around this summer league and record attendance for that. But to your question, beyond that, in terms of the process that now for potential expansion here, multiple various serious groups are in the process of presenting plans to our bankers, and those plans not only include who the potential owners would be, but their vision for what Las Vegas basketball could look like, where they would play, how they would present the game. And it's music to my ears. I mean, I would just say that, this has become this city, an entertainment hub globally, brings enormous interest to the game of basketball. Something I wouldn't have predicted beyond the NBA. It's become a center of youth basketball in this country right now, not just the major facilities, but the number of courts in town, trainers, and again, the level of interest, the WNBA, of course, that's had great success here. So I really appreciate what we're seeing so far, and it's very encouraging. I mean, no votes have been taken yet. We've got a ways to go still in terms of those discussions with interested parties, but I'm optimistic about the future here.
Second row on the left, second one in. Oh, you're okay.
You're optimistic about the future. Why are you optimistic about the future when you're going to try to do nothing but dictate where in the world in the future it goes? You're manufacturing it. So if you're going to manufacture it, yeah, of course you're going to be like, oh, I love where the future's going. I got a magnet ball that's going to do everything I need it to do. I can guide everybody there, and no one is catching on to what the hell I'm doing. They're not even asking questions. They're seeing the ball do weird shit and say that's weird, and then just move on. We got them all right where we want them. Dumb, deaf, and blind.
Okay. All right. We'll go back 1 to 5th row, 3 in. Bork.
Jeez. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah.
Hey, Adam, I'm Mike Borkenoff with The Athletic.
Hi, Mike.
I want to just ask you that the length of the Aspiration Kawhi Clippers investigation became an issue recently with the paused trade to the Raptors. Now in the 11th month, when do you anticipate the league, not the investigation just ending, but the league making an announcement on the results, and if there are punishments of any sort, or if there are not any punishments of any sort? What is your timeline for when that becomes something you release publicly and let everyone know?
My timeline remains this summer. Mike, as you know, I am not conducting the investigation, nor is the league office. That's being conducted by the Wachtell law firm, independent of the league. Of course, as I've said previously, we all have an interest in wrapping this up. And I think I most recently said in an interview that I'm hopeful that it will wrap up this summer. So that would continue to be the goal here. And I just want to clarify, so everyone understands, I mean, the league did not pause the trade. The parties to the trade made a decision not to go forward, given that the investigation remained open and any possible impact on Kawhi or his contract was yet to be known. And so they chose not to live with that uncertainty, but that was well known before the trade was proposed. And I didn't think there was any reason for people to believe that the status of Kawhi Leonard would change merely because he was traded. The investigation needs to run its course.
Man, David Stern would have marched in that office to those people who was this investigation. There is no investigation. There's nothing here. But we want to. What did you hear me say? If you want to keep this going, I will let the FBI send a probe up your ass. Don't you mess with my game. Bullshit is over. They're gonna pay a fine. That's it. It's over. Moving on. See, that's a real commissioner. But when you got a puppet like this guy, he's just going to go along with anything because he doesn't know anything. He don't have any balls. So you have a ballless commissioner who just sits here and just, I thought that we can, that we could get through with this. Stern to be in here, man. I swear, he's probably somewhere in a tank like the damn emperor. Bring back David Stern, so we can get rid of this Adam Silver. You are ruining the league with your nonsense. It doesn't even make sense what you're doing. That's when you really got to question it. When you're not making sense. David Stern did not leave you this league to screw it up. And nobody liked David Stern, and he was fine with that. Now you got other people like me after you. Because we see through the facade. We know exactly what you are. Can't be fooled. You can fool everybody else, but you can't fool us. We know what you are, Silver Slipper. We're not the type to just sit back and be okay with you screwing up the damn team, cheating for the damn Knicks. That ain't gonna fly. Absolutely. It is absolute nonsense the way everything has played out. We know you want the 76ers and the Lakers. That's the agenda on the schedule for next season. We get it. Well, it's all not panning out. If I'm going to New York, I'm going to the offices. I see these Knicks fans. It's not going to go well. We're going to have to get into a fist fight. And I'm going to just start dropping wires left and right. Yeah, well, that's how people are. They're crazy. Well, that's hey, it is what it is.
All right, let's go to Tony in the second row. Oh, I'm sorry, Tim Booth in the fourth row, please, in the middle.
Seattle Times. Your yearly Seattle expansion question. What were the discussions around expansion at this meeting and where things stand? And you had previously said you expected multiple groups in both markets, but to date, there's only been one group to come forward publicly in Seattle. Do you anticipate they will be the only group to express an interest in possibly bringing a team to Seattle? And does that affect the timeline of having an answer by the end of this year?
And in terms of public, most of the groups that are interested have not been public. And that's any group that's chosen to be public is their decision. And so I wouldn't conclude that because there aren't other public groups coming forward, that therefore there isn't other interest in Seattle. There is. And I would also say same in Las Vegas. Some groups have been public. The majority of groups have not been public. So stop there on that portion. In terms of the process, over the last 2 days, there were discussions both at the committee level and before the board from Paul Taubman, our outside banker, about how the process is going, what he's hearing from the groups. As I said earlier, it's, price is one component, but I think there was as much interest as in who the groups would be, what the overall composition of ownership, and of course where they would play. And I'm still hopeful again that this process would be wrapped up by year end, and I feel we're very much on track.
Second row in the middle, Tony.
Hello, Commissioner. Tony Cañameras from Mundo Deportivo, Spain. My question, of course, is going to be about NBA Europe. Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum said back in June that you're ready to go forward with NBA Europe project, even without the EuroLeague. But also, as NBA, you have always said that you want to do this with the EuroLeague. My question is, what are the sticking points for which you have not reached an agreement with the EuroLeague yet? And also, have you received bids for each of the target cities, and are these bids binding? Thank you so much.
Well, Mark Tatum is right in front of you. You could have just tapped him on the shoulder and asked him. I'm not going to be too specific about sticking points with the EuroLeague, other than to say Chus Bueno, who's now running the EuroLeague, is a friend and a former colleague at the NBA. He's doing his job, of course, in representing those clubs and that organization. And Mark Tatum and I continue to have back and forth with him. I mean, it's very understandable what he wants in these discussions, and that's to preserve, the value created by the EuroLeague over the years, and for both of us, what's unique and special about basketball in Europe. yes, I mean, we began on this path saying that our plan was to go forward, regardless of where the EuroLeague stood, but it was always our hope that we would be able to create some sort of consolidation of European basketball. And I remain optimistic we're going to be able to accomplish that. In terms of the bids, yes, we did receive multiple bids from all the cities, the initial cities that we hope to launch in. And we're not at the point of binding bids yet. I think those, I would call them initial expressions of interest. Again, complete with financial information, but I think everybody understood that once those initial bids came in, there would need to be ongoing discussions before we got to the point where we were, actually had binding agreements. So we're not at that point yet.
All right, third row on the right, on the end, Steve.
Steve Ashburner, NBA.com. This is a little forward-looking, I guess, but you mentioned the competition committee, and it got me wondering, what is the process and the timeline by which the all-star format will get reviewed and possibly altered?
So, Steve, the first part of your question, we began reviewing the process, the moment the last All-Star game ended. I mean, the sort of post-mortem of what worked, what didn't. As you know, we were very pleased with what we saw, at the last All-Star game, and pleased that the players really stepped up and became engaged in the game. James Jones and, others in the league office now are in discussions with the Players Association and our teams as to, whether some improvements are, whether we can improve beyond where we were last year format in terms of the 3 games and, how it works with the world and the U.S. team. But, we're in those discussions now, and, we'll certainly, by the time the season begins, we'll have locked in whatever changes we intend to make. But I think we were off to a good start in that new format.
Third row.
Here we go again. We're off to a good start in this new format. No, you're not. You're going to try to find a way to get LeBron to a 5th championship. Somehow, some way. Send him on off. And you want him to be in the class of Tim, Kobe, and all those guys, even though his 4th don't even count. You want this bum leaving with some type of hardware, because he going to be on your head. Man, I need everybody on my team, man, so they can help me get this 5th. It's going to be my last year, the journey for 5. I mean, his whole Lakers success is nothing but failure. Failure, people. Failure. Oh, yeah, y'all will figure it out.
Row in the middle, Randall.
Hey, Adam. Randall Williams, Bloomberg News. Earlier this year at the WNBA draft, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert was asked about her future with the league, and she sort of deflected in that response. I want to say weeks prior, we asked you about it, and you said you hadn't had any conversations with the WNBA board or the NBA Board of Governors. Have you had any conversations with Kathy or the WNBA board about her future and if she intends to stay on long term?
Yeah, but so Kathy and I, work together, and I don't want to speak for Kathy. I would only say I'm very pleased with where the WNBA is. We've made tremendous progress, under her leadership over the last several years. Again, this season, we're off again to a very strong start. I think that my sense was, I was behind the scenes in the collective bargaining process, but I was pleased both with how the league conducted itself and ultimately the Players Association. I think that, we reset economically, which was long overdue. And I think that my sense is from talking directly with the players that they are pleased with the outcome. And as I said, I think Kathy continues to do a strong job, building that league. And then we'll have ongoing discussions about what the future looks like.
5th row.
The future looks like. We know what the future look like. You finna design it. We just told you.
On the left, on the end.
Hi, Adam. Matt Rybeltowski from Forbes. You could probably surmise from my question that I'm a gambling reporter. In light of the gambling scandals, a former U.S. attorney has proposed a framework for a federal sports betting commissioner, one that would have investigative and subpoena powers. What's your view on that type of framework in terms of the best practices that could be created to clean up sports, since you astutely noted that integrity is of the utmost concern for the leagues? Then, with the convergence of things like prop manipulation, insider trading, prediction markets, and alleged rig micro betting, what's your views on a potential coalition between the other leagues that could come up with a collective standard here from a risk mitigation standpoint to clean up sports integrity across the board?
Thanks for the question. I'm not familiar with that specific proposal, but at least built into the aspects built into your question, I am in favor of. From the very beginning, even before the Supreme Court overturned PASPA and made sports betting legal or potential legal for every state, I was in favor of a federal framework. I think it puts the league in a difficult position when we're dealing essentially now with 40 different jurisdictions and their different approaches to sports betting. As you could imagine, from an administrative standpoint from us, we'd greatly prefer to have one national framework. And the idea of having some czar or commissioner who could oversee it and would have, subpoena powers that the league office doesn't have when we do those sorts of investigations, I think would be very helpful. I hadn't even focused on that idea, but and the same along your other list of horribles there of things that happen when you have a world of sports betting. I think that I'm just as a reminder, I know you know this, but we have remarkably little control over how our intellectual property is used. We don't get to make decisions as to whether prop bets can be placed and what kinds of prop bets. I think ideally, we would be a party to that, and if it's a coalition with the other leagues, even better, and have those discussions about to the extent there's.
You the only one that can't control your shit because you're weak. This is why this would never have happened under David Stern. Stern would have ripped up contracts, kicked their ass out. They got to go before the union. I am the union. So Stern was Palpatine all the way. This guy here is like goddamn Snoke.
Going to be betting on our games. What kinds of bets are most problematic? I've said before, the unders are the most problematic right thing in our league. There may be other kinds of bets that, there's a lot of data out there that we indicate, but may also be more problematic, both potentially for the league, but also for the bettors as well. We recognize this is a form of entertainment, but at the same time, people can get over their head fairly quickly. And those kinds of controls also need to be in place. I mean, one of the benefits of legalized sports betting is you can carefully track and monitor bets that people are playing and turn people off when that's necessary. And I just lastly say that, again, as some sort of coalition, I have no doubt we can do a better job educating all the constituent groups. Of course, the current education we're doing for our players so that they can understand what's at stake if they were to engage in this kind of behavior and how draconian the discipline will be if they were to do those things, but then also on the betting side for people to make sure that they understand, that the risk for themselves, for their families, if they bet in a pattern that is problematic for them. So I'm very pro-regulation here, as you can hear. I think more is necessary here to get our arms around this.
Fourth row on your left on the end, Chris.
Hey, Adam. Chris Mannix,
Hi,
Sports
Chris.
Illustrated. Just to follow up on the Clippers, is what you're saying is that you don't know what is in the report that's being put together right now? And if not, I would imagine that a nearly year-long report is going to be voluminous, to say the least. Do you really believe that this entire issue can be resolved before the start of next season?
I don't know specifically what will be in the report. best of my information is the report is not done. I do get regular updates from our general counsel, who's Rick Buchanan, and he deals with Wachtell on a daily, if not weekly basis, or weekly, if not daily basis, in terms of what is who they are talking to and what they are finding on a preliminary basis. But my understanding is that Wachtell is now in the process of going through the information that they've gathered and drawing conclusions from that information. And I think, yes, it is realistic to think that this can be wrapped up, and I would say needs to be wrapped up before the beginning of the next season. I mean, on one hand, of course, at the end of the day,
Beginning of the next season, that's like 2-3 months. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? It should be. If it's still going on in September, you got a real problem.
as the commissioner in this league, I'm the one who engaged Wachtell, so sure, I could tell them to stop. And I've read those reports where people are saying, just tell them to stop. But also the benefit of an independent investigation is they have their own credibility on the line. And presumably, I can count on Wachtell to say to me, well, of course, ultimately, if you say we have to stop, we'll stop. But in our report, we're going to say we were required to stop, before we felt we had a complete understanding of this situation. So it's just finding that right balance. But it's going on longer than I would have hoped. There's no question about that. Part of it, as I've said before, things that are out of their control and our control, dealing with bankruptcy courts, dealing with reluctant witnesses. It's a long process, and it is complicated and complex. I understand why people who haven't lived in these kinds of
It's complex because you want it to be complex. It's real simple. You don't want to lose the money that you're making on prop bets. So hell yeah, you don't want to turn that away. All them suckers that's been betting on prop bets, you look at them as the lamb for the slaughter. You know damn well what you're doing. You just don't care, Silver Slipper. And that's fine. If Adam Silver Slipper don't care, we now know what it is. Oh, well, don't give us this impromptu, I'm just doing this for the people nonsense. Nobody's falling for the nonsense, dog. That's billions of dollars you're making on prop bets. Tell the truth. See, if the man would just tell the truth, people would understand it. They would halfway believe your ass. Even though you're trying to blow smoke up everybody's ass, everybody would halfway say, you know what? Hey, I get it, dog. At least you're trying to be honest. Like, man, what do you want me to do? I'm the commissioner. You think I'm going to give away $1 billion because y'all stupid? Don't bet on it. How about that? Just don't bet on it. I say it like that. Say it with your chest. Be flamboyantly out there. Let it be known. That's what we got to think about when it comes to these scenarios and situations.
investigations are frustrated, but also on one hand, we want to respect everyone's rights here. I certainly, if any of us were being investigated, we'd want a certain standard to be met, and of a standard of due process with presumption of innocence, et cetera. And at the same time, we want to be able to answer to our teams and our fans and to all of you that this is comprehensive. And that to the best of our ability, we've discerned what actually happened in this situation. And so that's where we are.
Fifth row on your left, 2 in, Jared.
Yes.
Jared Weiss of The Athletic. Good to
Hi,
see you.
Jared. You too.
when Brad Stevens spoke after the Jaylen Brown trade, he brought up the idea of potentially having a reform where there's a reduced cap hit for Supermax players. David Kelly was open to that idea as well and spoke about wanting to try to make some potential reforms to the way the second apron operates during the CBA. Is that concept and the idea of readdressing how the second apron is working something you'd be open to at this point?
As I said earlier, the current system is one that was a product of months of negotiations with this players association. I think it's difficult to take one aspect of it and say, if we just changed this one piece, I think I heard the word tweak, would you be willing to engage on that? I would just say one person's tweak is another person's overhaul to the system. And I think at the time we sit down to negotiate a new collective bargaining process, a new collective bargaining agreement, my hunch is there will be things that the players will want. And as usual, there will be things that the teams want. And once again, we'll look at all those issues in totality and see what makes the most sense. But as I always have, we'll begin by stating our objectives. Our objectives here is to have a system financially that makes sense for the leagues and fairly rewards the players. So that's just sort of the pure remuneration, but then also have a system that enables every team, regardless of market size, regardless of the depth of the pockets of the ownership group, to compete on a level playing field. System's not perfect, far from it. There's always things that both sides want, but I just think my reaction when I hear some of those reports is to take one narrow issue to me and say, can we just change that one issue? As I said, having lived through multiple collective bargaining agreements, it's always at the end of the day, as agreement should be, a series of compromises, and it's never going to be the case. And there would probably be something wrong with the agreement if one side said, "I got everything I wanted." You almost know by definition you've done a good job when your side is saying, "I wish you could have done better on those issues." The other side is feeling, "We wish we had done better on those." And I think, putting aside their disappointment on that one issue, as I said, if you look at the system in totality, it's generating an enormous amount of money for the players and creating true competition at a level we've never had in the history of this league. And as I said, and the proof is in the pudding. You had one of the smallest markets against one of the biggest markets, competing to me in a very fair way. And the story.
Fair way? You rigged the game, you goddamn son of a bitch. What you mean? Competing in a fair way. Did you see the calls you made in that damn finals? Don't you get me started, Silver Slipper. You stage 37 looking motherfucker. Don't you dare say that. You dare competing in a fair way. You out your goddamn mind? Like we didn't watch the NBA finals and know that shit was rigged. In a fair way. My ass, you lucky I ain't there. You are lucky as hell I wasn't there. Oh my God, you are lucky I wasn't there. They'd have took me directly to jail. Do not pass go.
Wasn't about, did Knicks have more resources than San Antonio or vice versa, or the size of the market. It was just great basketball, and that shouldn't be lost.
It wasn't great fucking basketball. It was you manipulating for the New York Knicks to win. It went 5 games, fucker. What do you mean it was a great series? It was a ripoff. You keeping the games close, screwing people over. Me and you gonna have a real good come to Jesus talk real soon.
There are aspects of the system that are working incredibly well, better than any time in this league's history.
All right, we'll take 2 more. 4th row in the middle, Ben.
Ben Golliver, ESPN. Adam, earlier you said that the implications of trading for Kawhi Leonard were well known to the teams. We heard some kind of back and forth about that here over the last week. So how and when did you communicate to teams about the potential risks of trading for Kawhi Leonard? Essentially, how do we end up in a situation where there was a trade and then the parties back out?
All I'll say is that the issues were well known to the teams, and once again, I think even if you weren't a sophisticated NBA team, the notion that because Kawhi Leonard was traded, that the extent he was that there was an investigation that included potential agreements that were entered into by Kawhi or his representatives, that somehow all those issues would go away by virtue of being traded. I just don't find that credible. So I don't think it's helpful to go, through a TikTok only to say that questions were asked and answered, quickly by the league office. But I don't think any of this information should have been a surprise to anyone involved, who thought about trading for him or part of those discussions.
Final question, third row on the end, Tom.
Yeah, Tom France, Sports Business Journal. These questions are connected. You had said before expansion would happen that you wanted to get the local TV situation settled a little bit. And then the second part of that, based on the interest in Las Vegas, and then also you're saying there are unnamed parties in Seattle, do you still feel there will be 2 expansion teams, or are you still wavering whether it be 1 or 0 on that?
It's not so much wavering. I would only say as we began the process, as I think I made very clear, that this was a process. We would make decisions by the end of the year, but it could be an ultimate decision not to expand. It could be 1, it could be 2. And I was clear we were only looking at those 2 markets. And I would just say it's not just unnamed parties in Seattle. There are lots of parties in Las Vegas who've chosen not to be public about their interest. In terms of local television, I feel we are making progress there without being specific about some of the media companies who are demonstrating interest. If you look at this life cycle of the streaming companies and their interest in live sports, it was only a few years ago when some of those same companies were saying that didn't make sense within their business models, that they didn't really see an opportunity to acquire these kinds of sports rights and then just jump a little bit, a few years later, and you see almost all of them now are very much engaged and there, but it's national. In our case, it's global with Amazon Prime, for example. And I think now those same companies that have looked at sports rights initially, I think were reluctant to get into the local sports business. But to me, for all the same reasons that they see great value on a national basis or a global basis with these sports rights, it follows that they're seeing that value on a local level as well. And I'll just add that, many of you know this, that on the engagement that you see on a local level, well, a smaller geographical footprint is much greater than you see on a national basis. A Chicago Bulls game in Chicago has much greater engagement, per capita population than it does on a national basis. And you could say that for every one of our teams. And that's can directly be measured. For example, the average number of minutes that a fan watches of a local game is more than double. I'm sure you know these numbers, Tom, than it is, for a national game. And I'd further say you're seeing not just decline in the regional sports networks, but generally a decline in local stations, in part because people are cutting cords, so they don't have cutting cords, so they don't have the same access to those games. Retrans fees are down. People are spending more time watching streaming services. So there's a need in the marketplace for consumers to get local programming and local sports, and in some cases local news. And I think you're starting to hear already from these streaming companies as they look at their models and they look at their platforms that I think there's a desire from viewers to be able to get more live programming. So it's not just looking at the menu of various shows that are on that in many cases are evergreen. People have a hunger for that live content. And, just end by saying, look what we saw around our finals, look what we're seeing in the World Cup right now. And it's there's the raw ratings which are terrific, but when you see what's happening on social media, we saw it around our playoffs and finals. It's not just record rates for sports leagues, but from a consumption standpoint, it's hard to find any other kinds of content that rival what we're seeing in sports. And
this guy here is such a bullshit artist. You're already, you're not in the World Cup business. You're in the NBA. Go work for goddamn FIFA and get the hell out of the league. Because he's starting to really piss me off.
I'm not even sure there's the right metrics to measure it. I just call it mind share.
No, yeah.
My sense is, more than any time I've been in this business, that the mind share that sports occupies is much greater than it's ever been. Even just anecdotally around this finals, I never heard people talk so much about watch parties than they are now. And it may be a response to people living more isolated lives, people spending much more time on their phones. There's this hunger, I think, for collective activities. You know, we can't scale our arenas, but the last 3 years in the NBA have been the highest attendance in the 3 highest attended years in the history of the NBA. And I don't think that's an accident. And it's not just in our sport. You're seeing it across the board. So again, it's a long way of saying that I think the communal aspect, the community aspect of local sports is critically important in this country. It's important for college sports. It's important for professional sports. And I think the media companies, you know, with streaming leading the way, are going to see that value in the marketplace. So I'm even more optimistic than last we spoke about this, that we're going to see solutions for the league. Well, by next year, depending how you measure it, I think if measured as our season goes, you know, our next season is right around the corner. So I don't think we're going to have any solutions, but yes, absolutely for the following season. And we'll cobble together a series of solutions for this season, but then I feel good that we'll then have something on a national basis in place for the following.
Adam Silver Slipper, folks. Adam Silver Slipper. No commissioner has gotten me more upset than this individual. I mean, I'm mad. I'm beyond mad because I shouldn't be. I should expect it. I should expect it. I'm upset, disappointed. Now it's got me thinking about the Knicks and how they screwed the entire playoffs over by carrying this team all the way to the championship and just destroy the entire league and put it in just a spiraling effect to where people now, we have to defend the league. Yeah, he's stumbling over it because it's all bullshit. It's all fluff. The Kawhi Leonard thing should have been taken care of instantly. That investigation was supposed to be killed by Adam Silver because it's going to be nothing in the end anyway. It's all a time waster. So it's like, what are you wasting all this time for? And Paulo, boy, he's going to be in so much trouble. I would hate to be that guy down the road. Yeah, I know it's going to be a problem. So, I say that to say this. He said Silver making 20 super teams. We run the NBA. Oh, God. Nosferatu at his best. Nobody likes Adam Silver because he's such a BS artist. Nobody cares about what they're talking about. We care about the game, the actual game. He's caring about all the attendance records, the popcorn stand, and you look at all the people. Look at World Cup. Stop trying to copy off everybody else. I care about the product. What you putting out into the world is bullshit, Mr. Handman. It was disgusting. Now, everybody gonna start complaining about the second apron. Watch what I tell you. The second apron gonna be a problem. That's gonna turn all the way back around, and that's gonna be a whole nother conversation. If LeBron James did what Kawhi Leonard did, would the NBA investigate and stop his move to another team? Hell no. It wouldn't even have been an investigation. They're going to be, we investigated it last night. We found out LeBron James did nothing wrong. Now, because it's Kawhi Leonard, let's get an outside team. And Kawhi don't talk, so you ain't going to worry about him. No, the truth is that they have a magnet ball. The truth is the magnet ball been going around in the NBA for a minute, and they've been getting away with it. Because everybody's dumb, deaf, and blind. Just long as the Knicks won. That's all that mattered, right? This is bullshit. Man, seeing my league go down in the drain is man, watching all the promising basketball we had in summer league, this fool couldn't even tell us about that. He's talking about the attendance to summer league. What about the actual play? What about the actual players that showed up and showed out? What about them? Talk about that, Silver Slipper. Man, there ain't nothing wrong with Jalen Brunson. He was just up here. Jalen Brunson was just up here. He had nothing on his hand, nothing. Whatever surgery he had was so minor. He had no cast on, nothing. Just another. Yeah, he was here like 4 days ago doing his little basketball camp. Nothing wrong with him. See?
Make sure that the people that were with me from day one, or even just places that I honed my game at or was able to bring success, I want to give back to those students.
Yeah, it was always important to go back wherever I laid, wherever I stepped foot. Villanova, here, even Dallas, and obviously New York. Those places mean a lot to me. They've helped me grow every step of the way. This place definitely holds a special place in my heart, and so it's really important that I've made this one really consistent.
And talk to us a little bit about the Second Round Foundation, because the charity golf tournament started 1 year here, but now it's out in New York.
New York.
But just in general, what were you trying to do with that foundation? Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, I mean,
Does it look like something wrong with his hand? Does it look like he had surgery? Does it look like anything that's bothering him? Nothing. He ain't got no cast on. He over there pulling a damn LeBron, man. And just get him going. He did all that with one hand. Trying to make some old bullshit up for this bum. He lucky I didn't go down the street. If I'd have known he was here, I'd have went down that damn street in my Pistons gear and be like, call your daddy. Call your daddy. I'll grab him by his shirt. Call your daddy. I don't even want you. Call your daddy. No, he's a regular dude. Like, he's a good guy. Like, from besides my cousin, the incident with my cousin, but everything else, man, he seemed like an all right dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not buying into the hype like LeBron did. LeBron ball, he read, man, he believed every goddamn clipping they put. And he drunk the Kool-Aid all the way down to the sugar. Yeah, I know. He's sitting like a gal. I mean, I'm just saying. Are you at this point tired of Jalen Brunson and the Knicks? Yes, I am. Very much so. Just tired of them. You know? Nothing special. You just tired. So that's all this is. But anyway, thank y'all for the time. I'm going to go get something to eat, relax, calm down, because Adam Silver slipper got me mad, and I just had to address these LeBron fans. Knicks rule nothing. Y'all be out before the All-Star break.